And away we go. It is the BCJ Podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know the Holy Grail. It is the number one sports bar once again in the city of Cincinnati. We are working a couple things. Maybe the UCF game, a little watch party at the Holy Grail. And guess what? If you are at the Holy Grail and you order yourself a Cincy Reigns, the Holy Grail will donate an additional 50 out of every purchase of Cincy Light, and they will donate that back into the Cincy Reigns Fund that goes straight to the student athletes here at the University of Cincinnati. So get down to the Grail, get yourself a Cincy Light, and support the university. And you know the deal. Support the people that are supporting us. All right, let's get this show on the road. Another big guest. Just keep racking them up here on the BCJ Network. Last night, got to talk to Jordan Bischel on George of the Jungle. Got a little baseball preview from the Bearcats' new head man as they get ready for their first season in the Big 12. If you haven't seen that, that is on the live page. Go check that out. Some really good stuff from Coach Bischel, Aaron, and George Vogel. Tonight, new defensive coordinator Tyson Veidt joins us on the show. Dave, I know there's nothing that makes Dave more excited than when I make the call and tell him we got a coach scheduled. How excited are you tonight, Dave? You've got your a little Tom Segura look going to you right now.
Well, maybe I'd like a Tom Segura bank account going with me as well, but
a few less zeros.
But no, the Vols are doing work on the LSU Tigers, so it's a perfect time to talk some football. So very much appreciate Coach joining us, and I'll kind of just jump right in here. What was the process like with Coach Satterfield as you guys, he obviously, reached out, or, your agent and whatnot, and kind of take us through kind of that process? And was there a moment in the conversation, or how did that go, where you personally were kind of like, I'm kind of turning up the interest in this opportunity?
Well, the initial contact was simply a phone call. And I think through that, I could tell that Coach Satterfield was a great guy. Certainly knew what he was looking for. Explained, the personnel on defense and what they had been doing on that side of the ball. I didn't have a ton of knowledge. We, played them. I obviously wasn't looking at their defense as we were prepping for that, but, knew of a couple guys that had played well for him through the fall anyway. But through that, we just really continued through there with communication and conversation, and, finally had a chance to get together and dive deeper into plans and organization and those types of things. And through all that, I felt like, Coach Satterfield knew the type of person he was looking for. And it was probably a different situation than some. I was coming in really as the new guy, as the defensive coordinator. So that's probably not as usual as other scenarios when that happens. So I think he was obviously doing a great job of trying to find the right person to also mesh other people together and be able to have unity on that side of the football.
Aside from becoming a defensive coordinator, which I think is probably the obvious, top of the line reason, what were some of the main elements that attracted you to the move to Cincinnati? Well,
I'm from Ohio originally. My wife's from Ohio originally. Most all of our extended family is still in Ohio. So that was huge for us, our three children, cousins, aunts and uncles, grandparents, those types of things being clearly much closer. So the combination of both of those things certainly made it a very attractive position.
when you were at Iowa State coming to UC last year during the season, you obviously weren't thinking about an opportunity like this. But looking back now, was there anything that you kind of remember or went back to kind of during the process, or any memory of that weekend that kind of you started kind of put two and two together, or any memories or stories like that?
Yes. Well, number one, I had not been in the stadium for several years. So the last time I had been actually in Nippert Stadium, I was a graduate assistant at West Virginia, which would have been the fall of 05, I believe, when we were both in the Big East at that time. So we had played Cincinnati here. From Morgantown. So that was the last time I would have been in the stadium. Several things have changed since then. So I was certainly impressed with how the stadium looked, number one. Number two, always knew it was a great atmosphere, unique place, one of the oldest spots in the country for sure. And then the crowd was what you would be looking for on a game day crowd for sure on a Saturday afternoon. So those things certainly stood out as I reflected back to, our short time here in Cincinnati that weekend.
Right. A lot of similarities between UC and Iowa State as a quote unquote developmental program and what all of that entails. What do you think are some of the keys and like your points of emphasis, whether it's with recruiting or with your own, once you're the rostered players, to sustain that success when you are that type of program? Because you guys at Iowa State had a lot of defensive success consecutively. So like when you are a developmental program, what are your tenets and kind of tentpole things that you look for in a player when they're a recruit, and then just as you develop them throughout their career?
Sure. So I think it's a lot like Coach Satterfield when he is putting the staff together. You're trying to find the right kind of people that are certainly going to share your vision, carry that vision through, and be leaders for you throughout the program. So that's first and foremost, irrespective of the type of athlete they are, what position they play. You're searching for the right kind of people to be leaders within your program. And I believe, and I feel like it here still, it certainly starts with the high school football player, the high school student athlete, relationships with the high school coaches in the state of Ohio. Obviously, that's our home state. We've got a great local area, and we want to do a great job here first, and we believe we can find, based on years and availability, that every position within this local area that would fulfill a Big 12 roster. So that is first and foremost, without a doubt.
I got a couple, Dave.
Go for it.
First off, thanks, Tonk. Appreciate you. As always, he says, welcome back to Ohio, Coach. Excited about having you represent the Bearcats. This is something that we talked about this with Marcus Freeman a little bit when he was here. And I'm curious from your perspective. You're a defensive guy, and the spread, the air raid, this offense starts taking over the sport, and defense has to change. You're not going to be able to do the same big power linebackers and 4 defensive linemen and the way football used to be when it was a little more run heavy. How did that in the defensive world, you guys came up with, one of the most effective designs, the way that you played the 3 safeties and had success with your linebackers and kind of the middle of the field at Iowa State. How was that change? How was that challenge of, okay, we have to kind of rethink everything that we're doing, because if we keep doing that, these offenses are going to run right past us?
Sure. Well, I think in respect to defense in general at every level, they've changed because the offensive now at every level have changed, from from high school all the way through to the NFL. So I think every defensive coach is challenged at every single level, and that pressure to be able to play representative defense is extreme and relative from high school all the way up. So with that being said, I think it's still about making it simple for your defensive players so they can play at maximum speed, at their maximum ability. So that's just the facts. And I think the mixture of maybe simplicity in our eyes combined with maybe complexity to the offense is what you're trying to put together year in and year out. So whether that's stopping the run, stopping the pass, aligning to formations, whatever those things may be, I think that's really what you're trying to get to in the end of it each week. And every week is a new challenge. We're in a conference that has a ton of speed, has great quarterback play, has really good offensive linemen. So it is a challenge. And I think we see that every year when the NFL draft comes along and you're looking at all the different positions that are taken out of this conference.
The follow-up to that being, are we starting to see maybe a swing back in the other direction where, I mean, if you look, the running back talent in this league is going to be as good as anywhere in the country.
Will be good. Yep.
I mean, you guys had one at Iowa State that I think has a chance to be an All-American by the time he's done. He was like Aaron Judge, just a straight home run hitter anytime that he touched the ball. Are we starting to see a little bit of that swing back in the other direction? And how do you combat that? Because this isn't, while it's still a league that likes to air it out, it isn't just a passing league anymore.
Right.
The rushing attacks are legit.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's happening out of multiple formations. That's the challenge on defense. Naturally, everyone needs a base defense. Here's our go-to here. If we need to stop, what are we calling? What have we worked on the most? What do our kids feel best? How can they answer the problems that they're getting on the offensive side, number one, but combining that with the ability to adjust simply. So that's also the part that you're working on every day. You know, this conference is vast in what you're seeing as far as the personnel being used essentially to do the same things, but simply using different people. I mean, we're seeing tight ends out in the slot. We're seeing tight ends at the number one wide receiver. We're seeing two tight ends split out on the same side of the field. We're facing unbalanced. We're facing wings with the unbalanced. Sometimes that's to throw the ball, not always to run the ball. So it's all of those things put together, and this conference does provide a great challenge for anyone playing defense and anyone coaching it for sure. So again, I think as you start to put things together through the spring and you figure out the abilities of your guys as you're working through things, you're able to put together a plan to hopefully best suit everyone for the most part as you head into fall camp.
When you guys at Iowa State decided to make a switch to that 3 safety 3-3-5 look, were there particular formations or personnel groupings that were kind of the main reason you felt the need to do that? And how was that transition? Because I mean, I think from a outsider's view, I mean, it doesn't seem like your defense has really had any struggle with the transition, but kind of what were the intricacies of finally deciding like we need to go ahead and go through with this because we're just getting beat too much, whether it's formation or personnel wise?
Right. Well, at that point in time, we were probably struggling the most with being efficient in stopping the run and pass collectively. I think just total yardage given up. And if we did certain things, maybe we could slow the pass down. If we did certain things, maybe we could slow the run down. I think ultimately the main issue we had at that point in time was the ability to cover the big outside receivers that were running down the field vertically on 50-50 balls. So we felt like if we could support these corners a little bit better in some way, we would have a chance to potentially maybe make the quarterback feel uneasy, provide a different look for him that maybe he wasn't used to seeing week in and week out. The fact that we were playing at that, we were playing a zero nose. That's a different look for a lot of people. They're used to seeing 4 down, or even if it is 3 down, it's a shade. But putting a guy that is your best defensive lineman over the guy snapping the ball, play in and play out, we thought might be an advantage for us at the time we did that. So there were a couple reasons why we went to it. I don't think any of us were quite sure at the time how it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that was year 2 then in Ames.
Well, I think you got a pretty good zero you can put over the center now.
We do. Yeah, we do. And I feel like we've also got depth there too, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
Depth is important everywhere, naturally. That's a demanding position. And you do want to play a couple guys in there. They'll be a little bit different always. I think that's true to every single position. And then hopefully that allows you to be better in the fourth quarter. And then hopefully that allows you to be better late in the season, both. So that's the goal.
Now, I did a little bit of homework, so I hope I'm saying this correctly, but I feel like I watched a coach's clinic tape of you talking about the 3-3-5 and the 3 safeties and its effect on the RPO by taking a big guy off the field who really doesn't impact the play and putting a 220-pound guy on the field that can kind of make play, whether it's a run, or a pass. And am I kind of right there?
Yeah, you are. I think again, we felt like at that time when we also went to it through recruiting, we kind of had a better idea of what we thought we had a higher percentage chance of getting to, I think, at that point where we were. So the types of bodies closer to campus than further from campus, those things. So that lended to that. And it's still, the RPO game has changed considerably. Then it was a lot of simply RPO with a bubble, RPO with some sort of screen game off of it. It's evolved now. It's to the side of the back. It's opposite the back. It's verticals. It's posts. It's every route in between now. So, but those concepts still remain the same. You're trying to, as much as you can, Dave, put a body on a body from sideline to sideline. And if you can do that and match up to the best of your ability, we feel like you'll have a better chance in the end of it.
So with that third safety look, what kind of traits, and because I guess it's got to be a little bit different than a traditional, whether you can want to call it box free or Tampa 2, like what kind of traits are you looking at and looking for in that third safety? Because I feel like he's probably got to be but a very capable kind of downhill run stopper in that role. Is that accurate? And kind of like what are you looking for when you're either recruiting or you're coming into a situation where we did add a bunch of DBs. I don't know who's going to be safeties or corners or what have you in the portal, but like once you really get into the roster and the spring, like what are kind of you looking for to go like that guy can fill this role for us?
Sure. Well, it's a unique position, like you stated. So that guy does still have to have the ability to cover. So first and foremost, he still is a safety. He's not a smaller linebacker in my opinion. So it is certainly a defensive back. We've had guys in there all shapes and sizes. I think we'll be, searching for, that position every single year, because we search for safeties every single year that have the ability to cover, but also can tackle. So with all three of those guys, that's certainly a spot that you need. Even when you're playing with two safeties, you got to have a great guy that can cover and tackle both, right? So I think, however, though, developing that position you can do over time too, which is exciting and unique. We've had guys start in there and move outside. We've had guys start outside and move in there. Just with the number one thing of you're trying to get your best 11 on the field initially, your second best 11 on the field next, and all of those things. So, our very first year doing it, we had a 175-pound guy in there that really by what you would have said his position, what he was a corner. Yeah. And he played, he was a grad transfer to us, had played some in a nickel package at nickel, had played in regular defense as a corner. So he was not a big guy. That was back in 2017. So, and then, you have seen the great guy in there playing for Iowa State now, and he's a big guy and he's fast. He's really, geez, if you were going to create this body to play that position, it would be the guy at Iowa State now. So he's a 220 pounder. He can run.
Was that Miles? Did he play that for you guys this year?
That's Bo Freeler.
Okay.
Yeah, number 17. Yep. And still, you never know how guys are going to develop physically, right? I mean, he wasn't a 220-pound high school guy, He's a hard worker, a committed guy, and developed to be that size. So, and I think you stated it best at the beginning. This is a developmental program, and that's what we're going to have to do with guys for sure.
Are you a guy that give me all the 6'2", 210 guys I can get?
Well, I'm a little bit in between because I still am
a linebacker guy.
A firm believer it starts up front without a doubt. So I know the better you are up front, no matter what defense you're playing, the better you're going to be in the end of it. So
well,
I
just develop a bunch of Will McDonalds and you'll be fine. just throw in some first round picks that can jump over the hood of cars and we'll be well on our way.
That's a unique skill set he has for sure.
You have though made your hay as a linebackers coach. I mean, we've talked about it kind of, I wouldn't even call it hyping you up to the fans, but just kind of giving the background of 7 different guys that have been all Big 12 16 times and 3 times all of your guys were various levels of all Big 12. What do you see in a guy in high school? Like, what are you looking for? And then what makes a great linebacker? What are the teaching points that you are able to convey to these guys? Because that's an incredible track record to continuously be able to develop and get guys to play at that level. So like, what are the things that you're telling them? I mean, I don't want you to give away all your secrets here, but I mean, there's got to be something that's going on, because that's a pretty long streak of being able to hit with that position.
Well, I certainly appreciate you saying all that you said. Absolutely. But number one, linebackers are leaders. So you're looking for that type of personality when you're recruiting. And I think it goes with that position. For great linebackers, that they have to be at all 3 spots, not just at one and maybe not at the other 2. So they have to have the ability to communicate at a high level. And with that being said, you would say both of those 2 things mean they're probably fairly intelligent. So that's really what all of those guys are that you would have on the list were those things. They were highly intelligent. They were leaders. They could communicate. They also prepared. And I think we all know that the more you prepare, the better you prepare, the more confident you are. Those things are certainly tied with one another. And I believe all of those kids did that. They prepared at a high level every week and then maximized their talents. So, and with the exception of maybe one of those guys were in our program 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So that's also important.
How much have you had a chance to look at Jack Dingle and Jonathan Thompson and Dorian Jones and that linebacker room, and what's your early impression watching on tape?
Well, most of what I watched live since they've been here are the things they're doing, obviously through strength and conditioning. But we have, as a staff, as we've watched, hey, this is what we were doing. This is how we were doing things a year ago, trying to figure out the best ways to start out our spring stuff. We have watched those guys. So I think the one thing you really notice collectively on the defensive side when you turn the film on is you do have some high effort guys in there, and you feel like if you've got those guys, you have a chance, right? So you're certainly looking at this point in time. We're trying to build depth on paper right now, so trying to find the best spot for each guy to start to spring out, and we want our depth chart to be even naturally at all the positions. So that's really probably more over the challenge right now as we sort through all of that.
I don't want to assume anything, but from a recruiting standpoint, with you being from Ohio, I imagine you recruit Ohio to some level. And have you been for Iowa State? Have you been in the Cincinnati area and building those relationships? And then I imagine you've had the chance to have Mr. Cincinnati maybe take you around town and introduce you to a bunch of the high school coaches, and kind of how's that going?
So I was fortunate to I did get out one day through the recruiting period, and I was with Coach Combs and Coach Satterfield both. So that was awesome. We
were you highly caffeinated? Were you ready for what that experience is?
I was probably. I would say if there's only one similarity that Coach Combs and I would have, it would be our coffee intake. So we're probably fairly even that way, I would say. So
that's a lot of coffee.
There's a lot of coffee intake in the building when he and I are together. That's for sure. Yeah, I was able to get out that day. I was fortunate. Coach Satterfield gave me several days to really meet with the guys individually with each guy on defense. So that was awesome. I was able to meet with the strength staff more than one time. That was unbelievable. So he didn't, thankfully rush me right out on the road and going to different places to see different guys. So the day I spent what was awesome here. Have recruited Cincinnati along the way over my time. So familiar enough with the area and those things for sure.
What are some of the other areas that when you were at Iowa State that you recruited that you'll probably, because you've had those relationships built for a while, that you'll continue to go to?
Well, I had been down in Southwest Florida for several years. And so really Lakeland over to Tampa and down through Clearwater and St. Pete and across the bridge. So I had done that for many years. Really started that way back at Toledo, actually, and I had not really been down there. And then I went down 2 different years with Jason Candle, who had done a great job recruiting down there for the University of Toledo. So I had started down there with him, and he really – I was fortunate. He had done a great job down there. I kind of teamed up with him a couple of different times while we were there, and then was able to continue to keep that area while I was at Iowa State.
I'm curious. There was an Ohio base. There was an Ohio focus out there at Iowa State that you guys had. Did that get tougher as Luke Fickell built up Cincinnati? Did you see some doors that were maybe open before that didn't stay open because Cincinnati had the rise that they did?
Well, yeah, there was 2 things that was obviously happening. And then the transition into the same conference. So, at one point in time, you were selling 2 different things that sure. way. So certainly now the similarities are much closer with the same conference and all of those things too. So we had tried to get Ohio guys every year. We had some Northeast Ohio guys. We had some Southwest Ohio guys. Central Ohio.
David Montgomery was pretty good.
He still is, I think.
On that front, like, it wasn't that hard to drop. Look, do you really want to go play in the AAC? Like, that worked really well. I tried to explain it to fans, and this is how I kind of explained it to them. Kids in the South want to play in the SEC. Kids in the Midwest want to play in the Big Ten. Kids in the Southwest grew up wanting to play in the Big 12. You know who grew up wanting to play in the American? Nobody. So it had to have been an effective, like, it might not have got the deal closed, but it had to catch their attention of come play in this power league as opposed to going and playing there.
Absolutely.
See? Listen to the man. He knows. Trying to tell people that they wouldn't listen to me. Oh, it's not that hard. Yeah, it is.
Yep. So, but spring practice coming up pretty soon. What are kind of your, I would imagine being a linebacker guy, and you seem like you're definitely like a teacher, a true coach in that sense. What are the things that, like, you're most excited about to get back out on the field with a whole new group of guys and just kind of get going in that regard?
Well, it's as a coach, it's one of the best times of year because it truly is all about developing your guys this time of year, competing with the other side of the ball solely, which is unique that way. You're not preparing for any specific opponent. There's not on the kids and the coaches both. There's not the rush. Hey, we've got 4 days to prepare. We're getting ready to kick off here. We got off the plane, late, and here we go. It's already Monday. So it's a unique time. I firmly believe it's truly a time with your off-season program, and then moving into the on the field, the actual sport of football, that you are, number one, building a team. You've got the competition involved, both sides of the ball, but you are truly building a team that way. And then naturally having more singular time to work on individual skill and skill development at all the positions. And that's what's most fun, because you can truly see from day to day the progress with each guy, in my opinion. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Wow, that guy is improving. He is getting better. It's starting to click. He looks better than he did in January at the end of March physically. So all that development is constant throughout the springtime, which is a great time of year for sure.
Matt wants to know, on-field guy or press box guy?
Well, I had been a press box guy. Our coordinator at Iowa State, John Haycock, had been on the field. So you'd like to be, like, the perfect word, you want to be both, right? You want to be up top and see it, and then be down when your guys are coming off the field to gather in between series. So we've got to figure out, what's best for us. I think still we'll be working through that in through the spring. We'll have some scrimmage opportunities when we can mimic that. So I think we're working through that right now.
Day 1, practice 1, spring 2024, 3-3-5 with 3 safeties.
You know what? We actually we had a great 3 days of defensive staff today. We didn't say that's what we're going to be, to be honest with you. We had hammered through a lot of different things. And I feel like we're still, trying to figure out, are there some things from a year ago that we felt like the guys knew well, that would be things that would click fast if they heard it again, or knew how to align and assign, comparative to what might be some new things that would be similar to that. So honestly, I would say there's a chance you're going to see some of that, and there's a chance you're going to see some other things too.
All right. Challenge accepted.
Hey, makes it exciting for us when we come out to practice, trying to figure out what the heck you guys are doing.
Are you're coming out to practice?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we are. Well, Chad will be. I have a real job. But
Come on,
but
Dave.
no, yeah, you will see his beautiful face every day. It's the Bearcat Journal mantra. And we've done it for years. If the practice is open, we will be there. And more times than not, it is open, so we will be there.
You come every day, Chad?
Every day that it's open, I'm there.
Is that right? Awesome. Okay.
Yep. I'll give you a brief insight into my history with this.
Okay.
Remember the COVID year? You had like 3 or 4 spring practices.
Yeah. We actually,
it was done.
Yeah, we didn't get any. We hadn't started yet, but yeah, I'll never forget the COVID year. I don't think many people will.
So we had 3 practices, and then it was done. At the last practice, there was a tight end here who's from Canada. His name was Bruno Labelle.
Okay. Yep.
And they had a bubble over the practice facility at the time.
Yep.
Bruno almost ran me over. 6'5", 245 pounds. He almost wiped me out. I got out of the way at the last second, and as a result, Bruno almost crashed into the bubble. 2 weeks into COVID, I get a text message of that video from Luke Fickell saying that I was going to need to work on my commitment to the program and that I was in the wrong for not trying to stop Bruno and let him run me over.
Well, the good thing about coming to practice this spring, you can actually sit in the stands. So
no, we never do that. Nope, we'll be there. We're on the sidelines. I never learn. I'm not good at lessons, Coach. Just keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over again. Well, we thank you for your time. It has been outstanding. I love it. You're still in the office. I've got Dave excited right out of the gate.
That's right.
I appreciate you guys spending time with me. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We will catch up here in a couple weeks, and I will be at those practices, and I'll have questions.
Awesome. Sounds very good. I'll be here too.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. Welcome to Cincinnati.
Yep. See you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
There you go. Bearcats defensive coordinator, Tyson Veidt. Dave, were your talking ball fulfillments all met?
Appetite is we're ready to go. I mean, just a few short weeks. I not that I'm not that I'm saying I like it or dislike it, but it'll be interesting from my standpoint of just having something new to watch in that regard of
always
totally new too, not just from a year to year, what kind of little subtle changes are we doing? Oh, this guy's in this new position, or oh, they didn't really show that look very much last year. This could be, totally new. He talked about Dante, that zero, whoever is in it at True Nose kind of being on that zero, which I think benefits Dante greatly, minimizes the opportunities to be double teamed, allows him to put his power to use. I'm not going to say Coach Brown's defense was laborious because I don't know, but
I don't even know that they got to run it much at all.
Right, but him just talking about not that it's easy, but he's like, it made it sound like I'm not going to overcomplicate these guys because we're going to play fast, and I've always thought if you're going to make mistakes fast because the chances of you covering up those mistakes by knowing exactly what you need to do and being able to execute it quickly will cover up a lot of maybe talent deficiencies where, you don't need 100 calls. I don't even know what the right number is, but can we get really, really good at these things and then play them with our hair on fire 95% of the snaps, and I think you can be
Right.
successful in college football playing that way
Look,
as you build a roster. And then as you get better players and as those players become more comfortable, like you talked about with the 4, 5, and 6 year linebackers, then you can start doing the more exotic stuff and the simulated pressures and the different looks. But like right now, let's get really damn good at a couple things and play insanely fast.
yeah. I think it's, I think it's fascinating because it is something innovative. It's not, and this is not a shot at Brian Brown, but everybody wants to get after the quarterback. We're going to play fast and get after the quarterback.
Yeah, I'm still waiting
Okay.
for like the aggressive, fast. I'm still waiting for like the coach to come in and be like, we're looking to like play on our
We're going
heels.
to slow it down. Yeah, we're going to slow it down.
We just want to keep everything in front of us. It's like, yes, of course, you're a defensive coach. You want to play aggressive and be tenacious and put pressure on the offense. Oh, and can't forget, be multiple. You have to be multiple.
The coach that believed all those things, I think, is the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I like that it doesn't, to me, like there's no gimmick to it. Like he gave you the answer. We felt like having another true safety on the field protected us this way and this way.
Right. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to get into the linebacker conversation, because it is at a developmental program, it is very hard to have that level of play from one position group for that many years in a row. Like you're just not going to be able to develop linebackers year in and year out to play at that level. So to me, that tells me that not only are they recruiting and developing quality players, but that the system is, like I said, not easy, but guys can learn it, and then they can go out and be successful at what they've been taught. Because like it's not like you're just throwing in, oh, here's another 5-star Georgia, and here's another 5-star, and here's another 5-star, and they're all just great. And these are guys that maybe they're 2-stars, maybe they're a transfer, maybe they came in as a 210-pound dude and they turned him into a 240-pound guy. Like it's really impressive in a developmental program to see a position group like that have that level of consistent success.
I mean, how many years did they have all three linebackers win?
Three times.
Yeah, win all Big 12 honors.
Yeah, some first, second, or third team.
Right, but all three.
Yeah.
That's insane. And he talked about it. The thing that maybe impressed me when he talked about linebackers was like there wasn't a like we're a middle line, like it's always our middle or it's always our will. No, all three of those dudes better be badass dudes. No more, Dave. I don't think there's going to be any more of this tweener. Like, I think if they put three linebackers on the field, you're going to have three linebackers. Well,
and if you go into their roster, they have big linebackers.
For the most part, yeah.
Their dudes are 240.
That's what I mean by three linebackers. Like, you're not talking, we got a hybrid guy, that we're going to ask to do like 6 different things. No, linebackers. As many of them as you can get. Which means I think we might see more, with Marcus, we always joked he wanted everybody 6'2", 210. Like, I'm wondering how many we're going to see like 6'3", 230 in that range.
Yeah.
Like a little bit taller, just a little bit bigger, like one size up. If you just turn the knob one size, that you might see a lot of those guys from him.
Yeah. I mean, I think he committed to Iowa, but a recent offer went out to a linebacker from Chicago area, 6'3", 215 as a 2025 guy. Another linebacker, 6'2", 205 as a 20. Like, those guys are going to be big once they get developed and into a college weight program. So yeah, I don't see a lot of like 5'11", 225 linebackers in his system.
They look pretty traditional. 6'3", 235, 6'3", 240, something like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of that part's always fun, man, to kind of keep up with the back and forth of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of recruits are we going to see? What style is going to be preferred? People used to freak the out, Dave. Why do we have all these DBs? Why are we all? Why do all we recruit are guys that are 6'2", 205? Because that's how you have to play now.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have guys that can run and cover. Like, there's no way. I mean, obviously, you need to be good everywhere. But like, if you don't have guys that can run and cover, you're kind of dead on arrival.
We saw that last year.
Yeah,
it has to happen. All right, let's timestamp that segment with Tyson Veidt, the Bearcats' new defensive coordinator. It's brought to you by Turtles Brew. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, 6% ABV, bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have lemonade tea, strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. There's over 100 locations throughout Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for more information and locations. A portion of the proceeds go to save the sea turtles. They're in Toledo and expanding now in Central Ohio. And from what I'm told, they might make a great combination with our new friends at New Riff Distillery.
Oh, there you go.
Just saying.
Just saying.
That brings us to a little basketball talk, Dave. And if we're going to do a little basketball talk, we'll have to thank our friends at Team Ticker. You can see it right here, right in the background. Boom. I've got the Sea Paw. Aaron's got the Bearcat. Constant updates on UC and everything going on with all the athletic programs. So go to teamticker.com, enter code BCJ. That gets you $50 off of your order. They're easy to hang with the provided hanging kit. Plays the fight song at game time, even for maybe when a sport you're not expecting. And the fight song just goes off and your dogs look at the wall like the wall is possessed. It's a high-tech retro display, daily updates, news, stats, schedules, much more. It's the perfect addition to a man cave. Put it in your dorm room, a gift for that special Bearcats fan. Go to teamticker.com, pick up your Team Ticker today. Also, Michigan State, Penn State, West Virginia. And Team Ticker sponsoring the basketball segment. We'll move on to basketball. Did that happen, Dave? Is that what you just texted me?
No, it didn't happen.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Okay. I was just impressed with the.
Okay.
No,
whatever.
But no. But before we do need to give a shout out to the lady Bearcats got their second Big 12 win in a row tonight, taking out the Central Florida Golden Knights.
I believe that's their first Big 12 road win.
Is it? All right.
So things are looking up for Katrina and company.
That's right.
And it can take a little while to get adjusted to this. And the women's side, while maybe not as incredible as the men's side, still pretty damn good. So, yeah. Let's get to I don't think we need to talk a ton about Texas Tech, but no. I will. No, but I will. We were here a week ago right now.
Yeah.
After the loss to West Virginia. You were not in a great mood.
I was not.
Some of that because you were home alone with Will, and I think he was driving you nuts. You were not in a great mood. How did that change for you? Where is your outlook now after? Because look, we didn't know this Wednesday, but if you told me they were going to go 1-1 and it was going to be lost to West Virginia, win at Texas Tech, you take that over the alternative.
But yes, that is why being in the Big 12 is so great. Because those opportunities are there. And, forecasting down the road, when, if you are in a position to potentially make the tournament at the end of the line, guess what? Everybody in those situations is going to have a West Virginia loss. Everybody on the end of the seed,
you go in the
sheet,
conference,
whatever you want to call it.
You lose a road game in conference you shouldn't have lost.
Everybody's going to have one, but you know what everybody's not going to have? Everybody in that position is probably not going to have a win at BYU and now a win at Texas Tech.
Right.
Who, mind you, a week and a half ago was in first place, and now they're behind UC in the standings, or tied with UC in the standings. That's what this league can do to you. But that is the net positive, is when you do that, it matters so much more because everybody is going to have losses. Everyone is going to have 10, 11, 12 losses. But what composition are your wins?
Right.
And so, yes, I was pretty mad. I was just more mad that they blew a 10-point lead with 6.5 minutes to go. Versus anything that like happened, the micro of it all.
The macro was it made the math hard because going to Texas Tech and winning, nobody else had done it yet this year.
Right.
Hard.
So, but now you put yourself in a position where it's like, if you can get one of the next two, you now have four really good wins. 4 wins against teams that are very much likely going to be in the tournament. And with the way that this league is, like, no one goes on the road really against anybody and just has their way with the opponent. Even the top, whenever Oklahoma State and even if Houston went to Oklahoma State, like, they wouldn't beat him like they beat him last night, and the final score was closer than the game was. But you're every home game you are ahead. Whether you are in Las Vegas or not, you are like a heavy favorite just because you're at home, because it's just so hard to go get a road win.
Yeah, it's like what we talked about Monday on the BBP. I think the top 5 teams in the league were 19-3 at home.
Yeah.
Good luck. And one of them just lost their first game Saturday at home. I mean, and you look at Kansas, but Kansas, Houston, and Iowa State, all perfect at home. So, yeah, go win your home. Win your home games and then try to steal 1 or 2 on the road. Now, again, you kind of need to get one of these 2, Houston, Iowa State. Not easy, because both of them, I think, are very, very good. Iowa State is very good. They're big, they're physical, they defend. They got an elite point guard, like what is turning into an elite point guard with Lipsy. It ain't going to be easy, but you got to get one.
Yeah,
you can't lose 4 home games in this league. Like, it's almost impossible. You have 4 home losses on your resume. Getting to 500 is a nightmare in this league. And look, they've got 2 great road wins in the first 9. I don't want to have to. I don't think you want to have to count on them getting a couple more down the stretch to get to 9-9.
I don't want to get towards the end of the season where I'm like, we gotta go win at TCU
or Oklahoma
or Houston.
Right.
Yeah.
But they popped up like the Undertaker out of the coffin, Dave.
Well, yeah, because you know why? Like, I'm not even going to mention the free throw shooting, because that is an anomaly. That will not happen again, maybe unless they shoot 2 free throws. But it's like, you know what the difference Saturday was to all the other games?
45 from the floor, 35 from three.
It was 7 for 20 from three instead of 4 for 20. That's really all it came down to. Now, I know that's a very, very simplistic way to look at it, but like, you were just okay. You just weren't terrible. and yes, in a very close game, obviously going 10 for 10 from the line mattered, and everything matters in a close game. But like, if you really want to break it down, like, they took good shots, whether they were twos or threes. I didn't get to see we were in a situation where I got to see some of it, but not really dedicate like true attention to it. But like, it seemed like they didn't take a bunch of bad shots. They didn't take too many. They didn't take too many threes. But yeah, if you just go 7 for 20 or 8 for 22 or whatever the numbers you want to throw out there are, like, just don't be dreadful.
It's all we were talking about.
Right.
People acted like we were crazy for saying what we said. And all we said was, you don't have to go from bad to great. You got to go from well below average to somewhere near average.
You don't even need to be
near average.
You're an elite defensive team. You're 15th or 16th in KenPom, whatever the newest numbers are. You're an elite rebounding team. You don't need to be an elite shooting team to win games. You just can't be in the freaking 300s.
Right.
In the national rankings. Like,
right.
There's a big gap between being in the 300s and national average. Like,
right.
you can be in that big gap and win a lot of games because you have three of the again, I don't know the intricacies of the entire league, but like 3 of the top 10 defenders in the entire league are on your roster.
3 of the top 10, at least, I would say.
So like,
no, I'm with you.
You just be good on that end, rebound the ball, and be a sufficient shooting team. Make the open ones when they're presented. Don't take the bad ones.
Awful.
Right. Don't take the bad ones. Don't turn the ball over, and you're going to give yourself a chance.
And
because
that's
because of the things that you do really well.
The crazy part is, Dave, they have been awful shooting the ball for at least half of their Big 12 games. And they still were in every one of those games.
Right.
Down to the wire, last possession, final minute decides the game in every one of them.
Right.
And that's with not shooting for shit.
Mm-hmm.
The improvement doesn't need to be massive. It needs to be, okay. Does anybody, if I'd have told you they shot 45%, like just in a vacuum, they shot 45 and 35 against Texas Tech, you wouldn't be like, damn, they lit it up.
No.
But it's still, for this team, more than enough to get wins.
Kansas shooting near 70% against Houston. That's lighting it up.
That was contested twos. They shot over 70%. Something like that. Contested jump shots, I think it might have been.
But no,
Whatever.
There are, and they're still going to probably be like this. The game against Houston, you very well we might see what we have seen for the majority of the Big 12 season. I mean, they are the number 1 KenPom defensive team in the country.
They are great.
Nothing is going to come easy. Right. So I would not necessarily look at this game as like using Texas Tech as a building block, but it is a confidence thing, I think. Like,
sure.
Especially for a guy like CMOS, I think it's a confidence thing over we're just going to go out and do that again or be even better like that. That I'm not anticipating, but it certainly gives you hope and the thought that, hey, the offense is not a problem when we take good shots, when we, play better in that regard. We have a chance to go in and win games in places that other teams aren't. Like, our talent level is comparable. And I think going into the season, that was the biggest question, right? Like, how well do we have to play to be in these games? And I think we've proven, like, they don't have to necessarily play great to be in the game, but you do need to play great
to win
at the winning moments to win the game. And I think that's where we've seen the difference is they've played well enough, they're good enough, they're talented enough to compete, but they haven't to date. They haven't made enough of the winning plays in the winning moments to take them over the top in these close games.
Right, which is why they're 4-5 and not 6-3.
Right.
For sure. Houston. Here's the thing that we know with Houston. Playing hard is not enough. They are going to play hard, like annoyingly hard. That is how they play. That is their identity. Like, being the team that plays harder, probably not going to happen on Saturday. You might match them.
You have to match it. I mean, you'll get blown off the floor if you don't match it.
Right. But what I'm saying is, being the team that plays harder doesn't work against them.
No.
Because you're not gonna. You can play as hard. You can fight as hard as Houston, but you're not going to play harder than Houston. So they have to understand that, right? Because I think that has been a thing in almost every one of these Big 12 games, Dave. They've played harder than the opponent.
Yeah.
That ain't going to be the case.
Saturday. They need to not fall into the trap of, we know Houston plays extremely hard and is extremely physical, so we're going to take a bunch of jump shots.
Right.
Because that ain't, I mean, let's be honest. Like, we're talking about going 7 for 20 from 3 is like, it was like a great revelation.
Right.
It's not going to go well if that is where we end up being, and that we don't make a concerted effort to match their physicality by confronting that head on with interior, with drives, with things of that nature.
So this is a bit of a different Houston team. They do not really score at the rim.
No.
They shoot a ton of jump shots. They count on being able to go get them. So if this is an elite defensive rebounding team, like the numbers have suggested all season, you've got to win there. Like, look, Texas Tech got too many offensive rebounds. What, 13, 14, something like that? Maybe even a couple more. You cannot let Houston get 14, 15, 16 offensive rebounds. You have got to shut them down to one shot, preferably, contested long jump shots. And if you can do that, and if you cannot, I think the magic number is probably like 14, Dave. Turnovers. You're going to turn it over some against their pressure, against the way they play defense. They're going to turn you over some. They will speed you up, but it can't be 18, 16, 17, 18 with 7, 8 live ball turnovers that they just go dunk. Like,
well, no, because
their offense,
their tempo is so slow. You can't give them runouts to get them easy baskets and more possessions.
Yeah. Matt says, I like our chances Saturday. Matt, I don't know that I'm at the point to predict a win.
Against Houston, you're just gonna have to do it. I'm not gonna, it's like one of those things. Like, I need to see it to believe it. And I know a year-over-year thing is not a fair way to look at it, but like, they've been one of the best teams in the country for how many years in a row? Like
4 years. Yeah.
Go beat them, and then I'm not gonna predict it, but I mean, if they play like they did Saturday, they'll have a great chance to win.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Do you think, whether it's because of the way Houston's lineup is built, do you think we'll see less of the two traditional bigs and more?
No.
No.
Houston's still playing two bigs.
Are they?
Like yeah. So
But
Roberts,
they're not like they were though, with like the 6'10" to 6'11" guys.
No, they instead they've got a guy that's like 6'9" with a 7'8" wingspan.
Yeah.
So it's different, but it's still similar.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are you playing more of Dan? With in that.
The problem. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you want Dan defending that guy? Because I think whoever the big is in the game is going to have to defend Roberts. You don't want Dan.
No, Dan's not defending Roberts.
So that's where you get kind of.
He'll throw him into the third row.
Right. So are you going to put Dan on one of their other big guys? I think you're going to see a lot of two bigs.
Yeah.
For considerable stretches. But offensively, it might be as much as you can to get that extra wing in there.
That's what I mean, because like you got just two great defensive teams going against each other. Like, what is going to be like from a UC standpoint? What is going to be the separator that gives them maybe a little bit of a bump when it comes to the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I here's what I feel comfortable with about this game. I think you're going to see Day on Jamal Shead.
Yeah.
And I think as long as he can not pick up two early, I think that's a matchup Cincinnati can, I don't know that I want to say win, but I think make life very uncomfortable for Jamal Shead.
Okay, so here's my question now. Who do you like? Does John guard Cryer or Sharp?
Cryer, I think.
I worry about Sharp then, because he's kind of become like their best two-way guy. Like,
yeah,
he can shoot it, but he's also bigger and stronger. That if you don't have someone that can sit down and defend him, he's going to go to the basket.
Yeah,
they don't do a ton of, but
maybe that's something that you recalibrate. But I think he starts on Cryer.
Yeah,
Cryer's much more likely to put 25 on you.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you start him, and then maybe if you see Sharp getting off, then you mix it up a little bit. But I agree with Matt that matchups, I think on defense, I think matchups are
how is their bench? I don't really know a ton.
Don't really have one.
Right.
They don't, it's not significant.
I mean, that's like that, and to me, that's my point of you gotta, even if the results don't come initially, like you have to go inside to try to get them into that, because your bench is good. So
yeah, well, you don't want to get into a jump shooting contest with them for sure. They're gonna defensive rebound.
Oh yeah,
they do have a guy on their bench who went off on Cincinnati as recently as last season, though.
Sure, if we're talking about Damian Dunn Saturday night, something it is what it is at that point.
He's their fifth option, sixth option,
probably eighth.
I mean, he's not hardly even playing a lot.
I'm not even considering him.
But
now maybe
we've seen Trevin Nell go off though. You've seen plenty of guys that are not.
They got a guy that hits 9 threes.
The second best player on BYU.
Not recently.
Well, I mean, when they played him, he was.
my point. You made my point.
No, he was the second best player when they played him.
I'm just saying.
Okay, thank you.
Look, if Damian Dunn goes off, Damian Dunn goes off. Like, okay. Cincinnati has Jameer Reynolds, who I think had a good game against Houston at some point. Like, each year is a little different. We haven't seen Damian Dunn do big things for Houston. So I'm gonna focus more on shutting down what has worked for them. But Dave, they're 2-3 on the road.
I mean,
You
but
know?
that's kind of like everybody, right?
I know. That's kind of my point, though. But like they are not a team that has looked great away from. I had a buddy text me last night, Dave. He's a Kentucky fan. He's disenfranchised with Cal. Okay. So he started watching UC this year.
Yeah.
And he's like, now he's getting into the Big 12, and like, you know, it's something it's fun to watch. It's a fun league.
Yeah.
It's caught his attention. He texted me last night, are there always that many empty seats in Houston? Yep. He's like, aren't they like one of the elite programs in the country now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. Usually still plenty of good seats available. Thoughts on Sampson last night? I laughed until my sides hurt.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, he was as on the floor as you could be, all the way down the floor. Like,
no, from the opposite side.
I know, 50 feet from where he was supposed to be, in the middle of the floor. I mean,
in the middle of a play, they were inbounding.
Oh yeah, it was going on. I loved it.
Oh,
hey, I mean, you watched the play.
It was a clear, like
the guy forearm shivered his guy in the back and caught the ball. So like he was being watched. It wasn't like away from the play. I sneakily did this. Like,
no, they were trying. They were giving it one of these to throw it into him, and he was like, "Hold on a minute." Oh, got it. Layup.
Yeah, I love it.
What about the thought that he should be suspended for the Cincinnati game?
Why?
For interrupting the game, for being 70 feet from the coach's box, I guess.
No.
All right.
I don't think so. Do you?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, if they want to suspend him for Saturday, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think at least one or two of the players should also be suspended for
just anybody that was within 5 feet of Kelvin Sampson is also suspended for Saturday.
100%.
I don't care. I don't want him to be healthy. It doesn't matter to me. Just win the damn game.
I'm gonna make the tournament.
Right.
Yeah, like exactly.
But I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but just in general, we're at about the halfway point. Any overall thoughts on the Big 12? Kind of right at that midpoint, 9 games in for most teams. A couple teams haven't had their bye yet, whatever. But for the most part, like halfway through.
As advertised?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, though, I don't think there is. I mean, Kansas is just always Kansas, but
sure.
I'm not sure I see like a truly great team. I see a big group of like really, really good teams. I mean, I think I still like Baylor, Kansas, Houston, Iowa State's obviously playing really good, and it's very, very hard to win at Iowa State. So, but I don't know if I see like that. And I don't know if I see that across the sport this year.
I mean, give me UConn and I'll kind of take my chances.
I'll still take the field over
I would
picking one
probably
team,
still
but-
take the field, but I wouldn't be mad if you were like, you've got UConn
Yeah,
and everybody else. Okay.
but from
I'll
the Big
take it.
12 standpoint, like it's as good as I thought it was going to be. It's fun. It's fun to watch. BYU is certainly way better than anybody thought coming into the year.
Yeah. And they're
And I'm
still
not-
4 and 5 in the league.
Right, and I'm not really sure you can really look at any team and be like, that team is not as good as we thought. Like, it's just so. That's why, like, it's almost pointless to look at standings because everybody's not playing the same schedule, and who the hell knows what the tiebreakers are going to be like when it comes down to the seeding the conference tournament, because everybody's going to have 4 to 6 losses, 8
Oh
losses.
no,
Yeah.
everybody's almost everybody's already got 4 losses.
Well, yeah, that's what. But I mean, like the high end, someone might have
Yeah.
like 4 or 5, whatever, and then you're gonna
Well,
have like
the three teams at the top already have 3.
Yeah.
And they got 9 games, 8-9 games to go left in the league.
right. So yeah, it's gonna be. I can't like. That's why I'm like. I don't even look at the standings because you have like 6 teams that are 4 and 5. How are you breaking those ties? Good luck figuring out that conference seeding. But it sure beats the hell out of. I caught myself watching some of Tulane and Temple Sunday afternoon. That was thrilling.
Somebody should have hit you with a cattle prod for doing that.
I just wanted to kind of like reminisce about old
Oh, yeah.
old Sundays of what that was like, and high school gyms half full and D-level announce crews and stuff like that.
F-level officiating.
Well, I mean, the way the Big 12 is, like, I think it's just it's a very, I don't know what thing to say, but like, are there good officials?
Probably, I don't think so.
Like,
They're very
regardless of what league you're in.
There are very few that I'm comfortable like.
And I know
good to
officials
see-
work.
good to see
officials
him
work
on the game
multiple
tonight.
leagues and everything, so it's not like
Sure.
you don't really have Big 12 officials. I mean, you have officials that work Big 12 games. They also work other leagues as well. But yeah, it seems like the Big 12 is officiated very similarly to the old AAC days when you could just beat the hell out of each other.
I think there's more called on the perimeter in the Big 12, and then they still let teams just beat the crap out of each other at the rim.
Yeah.
Like you gotta essentially somebody has to be on their back on the floor in a significant amount of pain for a foul to be called,
Mm-hmm.
around the basket, unless you're Pop Isaacs. I digress. Anybody you like you just have your eye is drawn to when you watch them?
Individual players?
No, the teams in the league.
Teams. I like watching TCU because they like to get up and down.
Yeah,
And
they're on my list as well.
I've been on Baylor. I like watching Baylor. I love what's his name, the MAC transfer, Ray J Dennis.
Ray J Dennis, yeah.
I really like his game. I like watching him. They bummed me out last night missing 3 free throws. I got 2 pushes in a row. Them and tonight X. Got another push. But well, the other problem is there's so many damn teams. Like half the games are on Plus,
You
And
got to
I-
be committed.
and I just end up watching, like whatever's on easy to watch on my YouTube TV. So,
Yeah,
but
maybe you'll get the new app that's got everything on it, Dave.
who knows?
All the sports channels.
Isn't that? It's just called cable, right?
Well, no.
It's like what we're
because
going back
cable, in order to get all the sports channels, you also have to have 143 other channels that you don't watch. Just give me, look, I'm down for it. Give me, like, I will watch most of those 15 channels or whatever it is. If I know that that's like, okay, here we go. That's the app. Here's the games. Let me scroll through them. I'm more likely to do that than searching for the ACC network on my 4,000 Spectrum channels.
Well, YouTube TV's good. There's only like 100 channels. Perfect.
I watch literally 5 channels.
Well,
The 3 SPNs, Fox Sports 1, and occasionally on Fridays, I watch Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dimes. That's pretty much it. And then over the air for games that are on over the air.
Yeah. But no, I like it's been fun. I mean, it was fun Saturday when you had Kansas, Houston, you had UC, Texas Tech, Baylor was it? I don't even know. Did Baylor and TCU play? I don't remember. But yeah, there's always, I mean, every
There's
night
always
there's at least one game you want to watch. So I'm definitely, obviously well in advance, but we'll be doing everything I can to be in Kansas City next year.
Yeah.
For the conference tournament.
I've tried like 7 ways from Sunday to figure out how to go this year, and it just doesn't work, unfortunately.
Yeah. Definitely going to be trying to figure out a way out there next year. That would be a lot of fun.
We'll have to do a content house, maybe.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, the van we rented was
with the
spectacular.
whole Simone crew.
I mean, we'll strap Will to the back. Bring it on, buddy. If we stay at the house that we were at, Dave, they had a whole playground in the backyard. They had a castle and a fort, swings. But all right, you got anything else?
I don't think so. What are we expecting from our guy Travis Kelce Sunday?
I don't see how they. I mean, look, I know the 49ers are good, but give me the Chiefs. Like they know what they're doing in this game. They've got the best quarterback in the game. They've got an elite defense. I don't think that is talked about enough how great their defense is or has been this year. San Francisco's got some flaws. Like they have been getting gashed in the run through the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you ask me who's going to make the plays at the end of the game to win, I'm taking Mahomes. I know it's not popular in this town, but he's incredible. So I'm going.
Did you
Chiefs.
see the end zone field suites are $1 million?
Woo! Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. You get like 14 people.
Okay, cool.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not $1 million per person. It's $1 million for the suite.
No, so it's like 80 grand a person.
Are we going to see Craig Carey in one of the end zone suites at the Super Bowl?
I think that is even maybe out of the Kelsey's budget.
It's not out of Taylor's.
No, but she would have a much better seat than an end zone.
Than the end zone, right? Right. She'll have a much better spot in that arena than in the end zones. That's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
that is
there's a poker game going on right now, Dave. Have you seen this?
a poker game?
In Vegas. A poker game.
Like it's live right now?
Yeah.
Who is involved in this game?
Jason Kelce, Tom Segura.
They're playing right now? Like as
Bert
we're
Kreischer.
speaking?
Yeah.
Are they filming it?
Somebody put up a clip on Twitter. They're like, could you imagine being in this poker game? Bussing with the boys are there.
Well, I heard Taylor Lewan's up $700,000 playing blackjack.
So far.
Dana White was on McAfee's show today, and so for those that don't know, Dana has been banned from several casinos because he's taken them for so much, because his strategy is to bet $100,000, $200,000 hands, and if he gets up a couple $100,000, he leaves. And they don't like that.
They don't
because
like that.
They want him to stay, obviously stay and put the money back. But he's like, yeah, I'll play for. He said he won $320,000 at Caesars last night, and Pat was like, "How long were you playing for?" And he was like, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said Taylor's up like $700,000.
So yeah, there's like 8 of them at the table, and Jason's there with Bert and Tom and Bussin and a couple others. That it just looked ridiculous. Like, I don't know how you could play poker at that table.
I used to play. I haven't played in a long time. That would be a impossible table to play at because
you can't think.
Everyone has money, so they don't care if they win or lose a hand. So it's like, oh, these cards are rags, but I'm just going to play because it's fun. And then they end up, pulling some, something out of their butt on the river or whatever. And it's like, well, it's nothing to them. So
you're also not going to be able to concentrate because your face is going to hurt.
Well,
from laughing your fucking face
sure,
off.
There are no edibles being eaten.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
But yeah, that
would be one. That would be one I would love to just like railbird for, like actually just sit and like actually watch the whole thing.
I'm sure I'm surprised they were doing.
It's going to be out somewhere.
I'm surprised they don't just have a villa or something with their own table in the villa.
Live streaming
Yeah.
You would think if they're going to put that table together, there's going to be a way to watch it at some point, for sure. And I will watch every second of it because my God. But yeah, I got the Chiefs. Who you got?
It's hard to. I mean, they're getting points. It's very hard to not say Chiefs. I've heard that the smart money, the big money is on the Niners. But I don't know. It's hard to think to bet against Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah, especially in this game.
I mean, if you say the Niners are going to win, you're saying that Brock Purdy is basically going to outplay Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes does not turn the ball over.
Right.
So you're saying that he's either all of a sudden going to start or Brock Purdy's going to just play better than him. And I can't do that.
Right. I'm with you. All right. I think that's about all I got. I don't have anything else. Do you?
Oh, I do. It is maybe a bit of an omen for Saturday. So okay. I'm attending the game.
All right.
And Will Simone, who is obsessed with basketball right now, is on an incredible streak of cheering for the whoever I'm not cheering for.
Okay.
And losing every single game. Because he obviously thinks it's funny that, So he was cheering for LSU tonight. He was cheering for Texas Tech the other night. He was cheering for Kentucky Saturday. I mean, he was cheering for whoever Dayton was playing the other night. So, I mean, he has literally been cheering against whoever the Simone family has wanted to win for over a week, and the team he's been wanting to win has lost. So, I guarantee he will go to the game and he'll want to cheer. He'll cheer for Houston. So, hopefully this streak continues. Yes.
Much like the 9-0 or 0-9 streak for opponents coming off of playing Cincinnati.
Yeah. which is hilarious. But it also like the teams are also playing like really good teams the next game too.
I think
so.
I think somebody put on the board today 3 of the 9 were favorites.
Yeah.
6 underdogs. So it's not all that shocking, but it's an interesting number.
Right.
I don't put much into it. But
No, there is no stock that you can actually put into that.
Right. It's one of those like, oh, that's weird. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
So, all right, there you go. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. Thanks to Tyson Veidt. That was outstanding. Outstanding to have Tyson Veidt join us tonight. That's going to wrap it up. We will see you next time. It is the BCJ Podcast presented by the Holy Grail. Right here on Bearcat Journal.